Good afternoon. As you all know, I'm Brajesh Dubey. I'm your instructor for this integrated waste management for Smart City course on NPTEL platform, NPTEL SWAYAM platform this year. And if you have looked at this particular course, we have been offering it for last few years. So this is, I think, is the fourth offering for this course in this particular. This is the fourth offering among. So we'll get started. The way we work on this particular live session, some of you who may have taken similar course in the with other courses. So the live session, the way it works is we will get over. First, we'll look at the questions that we have received using the Google form. So we have collated all those questions in one sheet which we submitted. So I'll go over that question first, and then we will take up some questions which you can put the questions on the chat box. And I'm having the chat box in front of me, so I'll be able to take questions from there. And if there are a few questions that we have picked up from the discussion forum as well, so if we can look at those questions as we make progress. So, okay, so let's get started. So if I look at the questions, there are several questions which you have posted already, more than 30. And some of them, I think there are some of you have just said, I want to ask a question, but did not post anything there. So for your future, I would suggest that you should, you are supposed to put the questions there. Some of you have just said, I don't want to ask anything or want to ask anything, but you have not put any questions. So the first question, which is like a question, which is there, is from VS Solidi. And C is asking that display some waste management easy tricks. Now, there is no easy trick in pretty much anything that you do. Every aspect of life is including, if you go into that discussion, it will become like a philosophical question. But in terms of waste management, there is no shortcut to success here as well. What we need to do is to work towards a plan. And the plan is the development of integrated solid waste management. It's like a framework. For each city, we have to develop that solid waste management framework. So there is, and municipal solid waste management rules, or solid waste management rules 2016, as we call it for our rule in India. Similar rules exist in other countries as well. So every country has a rule, and that rule has, well, making the rule, a lot of effort has gone into in framing those rules and regulation. Part of the rule, but we can debate upon whether it's needed, not needed, that's a different thing. But in general, the rules are there to help us manage the waste properly. So again, there is no easy trick. You have to follow the rule. As per the rule, what we are supposed to do is to do a wet and dry segregation. We have to segregate the waste wet and dry. If we can do the segregation properly, then there are technologies out there as you are learning in this particular course, and you will learn some more. I think we are still in third or fourth week right now, so you will get more details about different technologies out there, and that will help you in so whether we can like the waste to energy, composting, anaerobic digestion. So those are all the different components which is needed for waste management. So again, no easy trick. You have to have a integrated waste management plan, solid waste management plan for your city or a town. Work with that plan, keep on modifying that plan as needed, and go from there. That's what the whole course will try to tell you with a lot of detail. Next question from Rai Praveen, and the question is, what is the definition of a smart data? Now, smart data is, there is a, I would say, nowadays there is also a fancy thing to put everything between on a smart. So, basically, when we say smart, we want it to all the function of that particular, when we say smart city, we want this, all the different components, all the different functions of the city to be working effectively so that our day-to-day living is easier, it is comfortable for us to live. So when we say smart data, there is nothing like every data is data. Is smart data where you can you make sure that the data quality is proper, make sure data reproducibility is there. It's not that your data quality data reproducibility, good quality data. So those are what will kind of goes into a smart data, and that's how you can have. So in terms of waste management, if you're asking, so waste management, we require good quality data for how much waste we are producing and what is there in the garbage, which I have told you many times in the class as well. So we have to know what is there in the garbage. Unless we know what is there in the garbage, it's not possible for us to really design the system to treat those garbage. So that would be a smart data from a waste management point of view, to have you a very clear understanding of like what is how much waste we have to manage, and what is there in the garbage that we need to manage. Now, Shubhriya has a question, and I'm a mechanical engineer, graduated this year. I'd like to know what role can a mechanical engineer play in the waste management sector? What expectations are to be met to pursue a career in this particular field? So, very good question, Shubhriya. As I said, like in mechanical engineering is one of the evergreen engineering. So, if you are a mechanical engineer, congratulations, you are in a very good discipline. And what role you can play? As you will learn in the courses, you must be learning right now. You will be learning as we make progress in the course. When we talk about waste to energy plant, whether we talk about composting plant, whether we talk about anaerobic digestion plant, all these different aspects, we have to construct things, and we have to make a lot of mechanical devices which goes into there. Now, for landfill gas as well as from anaerobic digestion, I have to get those gas to be cleaned up. So cleaning of the gas, we're putting all those cleaning of the gas, that again requires input from mechanical engineering. So when we talk about composting, the aeration system which needs to go into the composting. If you're talking about bioreactor landfill, like a leachate recirculation system that has to be designed. So everywhere we do need people who have a good mechanical engineering background who can help a lot in the waste management sector. So you have a big role to play. What expectation? Of course, you need to learn, other than your mechanical engineering fundamentals, you also should have a good understanding of what is there in the waste, what is the waste management, how things need, what kind of data you need to collect, what kind of systems is out there. And as you are taking this course, I can say that you will, by the end of this course, you will have a good understanding of how the waste management engineer should, what are the different things that a waste management engineer has to do. So along with your mechanical engineering degree, with this course, I think you will be all set to do something big in this particular career. And I wish you all the best. And do well in this course. Take the quizzes and take the exam, and probably try to be on the top few percent so that you can get a nice certificate, and which you can put in your CV to show to the world that you want, especially if you want to work in the waste management sector. Now, Uparna Chatterjee, can you please change the time slot? Oh, I'm sorry, we saw this, like you have a UGC NET environmental science paper today. Don't worry, we'll have 2 more online sessions. This is the first one. Since this is a 12-week course, there will be 3 online live sessions. So, Uparna, you missed today. I'm sorry for that, but you will have chances to ask questions, comment online in next to live session as well. But at the same time, there is a discussion forum which is going on parallelly with the course, like it's part of the course. You are you are encouraged to put your questions there, and will be able to answer on that forum as well. So which we are trying to answer to you. Now, Aniket has a question. What do you think, sir, is the method to treat COVID-19 waste disposal method? So for this year's offering, we have added a new video, which I think at the end of 4th week, you will see that video coming up, where we actually talk about this COVID-19 waste in great detail. But since you asked this question, Aniket, I will just give you a very brief overview. In fact, we have done a paper recently. We have done a research article recently. I talked about the research article also in that recording, which you will see at the end of 4th week or beginning of 5th week. It will be posted. So the COVID-19, of course, there is one aspect is that biomedical waste, which we are getting because of the hospitals. People are going into the hospital. Hospitals are overcrowded right now, so we're getting more biomedical waste coming up. Biomedical waste is not considered as municipal solid waste. This course is focusing more on municipal solid waste, but it's still biomedical waste has a certain way. There is a CPCB guideline. The State Pollution Control Board has a certain guideline. So you have most of the biomedical waste, we have to either incinerate it, there has to be an incineration, or we have to do autoclaving and all those kind of stuff. So there is a yellow bag, there is a green, red bag. So based on those, we manage it. So there are a standard protocol for managing biomedical waste, and the same protocol holds for the COVID-19 waste as well for the biomedical part. Now there is a lot of additional waste which is coming out, which is non-biomedical, because a lot of packaging, a lot of other things which we are using, a lot of say you are getting things from online stores and other stuff. So you have huge packaging waste. The nature of waste is also changing because of people are staying at home. The institutional areas are not producing that much waste, but the home areas, residential areas are producing more waste, especially during the lockdown. Now we are going through unlock. Today after tomorrow we'll have like a new unlock. So things will change again. But overall, it is in terms of regular municipal solid waste, one thing which this COVID-19 is impacting is the recycling sector, recycling or the in general waste management. As you know, the virus can be active from few hours to few days. And we talked about that in that lecture, which you will see at the end of 4th week. So we have to be clear, we have to kind of modify the operations of waste management infrastructure so that to minimize the risk from this COVID-19. And so those are things you will listen to more, you will get to know more in that particular video, which is almost like 40 minutes video, which we talked just on COVID-19 waste. So I would say, Aniket, you listen to that. Even after that, I kind of give you a brief overview, but you listen to it in the detail. If still you have questions, come back again and we'll discuss that. Now, Prachi had a question from the one the course is starting. Since you are already here, I think the course you should probably know. I don't know. Neetu S has about sustainable waste management. So, but there is no question here. Like, what is the a sustainable waste management? That's a very broad term. Sustainability means you have the 3 pillars: economics, you have a social aspect, and you also have the environmental aspect. So, if I understand correctly, if you're talking about long term, like more durable waste management which works for many years, all these requires a good amount of planning, good amount of very good DPR, and very good DPR means good quality data to make those DPRs, detailed project report. So those are the things which we talked about earlier as well. So those will go into that. BJ Thomas explanation about health model software for leachate quantification. So good question, BJ. Health model, you will get the details of health model when we go to the landfill chapter towards the end of I think it is the 8th week where you will get the health model more detail. But since very briefly, health model, as you know, the health is hydrologic evaluation of landfill performance. So it is essentially a water balance model. So we do a water balance model, and then we try to find out how much leachate will be produced. So that's and in that particular, when you go to I think week 8, you will see more detail about it step by step how the health model helps in leachate quantification. So I would say that you wait until this time. You can also do Google and find more information about that. And as you probably know, that since this course has been offered before, so all the videos are also available on YouTube platform from the previous offering. So if you want to go and look at that, so you can go to the landfill chapter and you can find more information there. So Anita Dalai has how to water waste management to development in that area, research on it. Okay, so water or wastewater management. So again, you have to take courses, you have to do what you have to learn about it. That's the only way you can develop a career on that. There are a lot of research topics which you can pursue. Again, towards the end of this particular course, you will get some. We have planned to. I have not done the recording yet. I'll do that recording sometime soon, and then you will have a. I'll have a what are the potential research project that you can work on as a upcoming hot topics on the waste management. Just to get you guys like especially to answer questions like this, which you guys have on how to manage what to do in terms of research in waste management sector. Now, Rajit has a question that what is particularly meant by waste stream? Waste stream means different types of waste. So when we say waste stream what flow? The stream is essentially for flow. So we are talking about different types of waste. So when we say waste stream, so there could be municipal solid waste, there could be constituency waste, there could be you have agricultural waste, you can have industrial waste. So each one of them are individual called waste stream. So because the different kind of waste coming in. And is it necessary to first transport the waste to dump site, landfill, then divert it for waste to energy incineration plant or composting? No. See, if you take it to a dump site, then you cannot do waste to energy or composting. If you have to have a material recycling facility, so you need to do source segregation. And after doing source segregation, the dry waste should go to the material recycling facility. And you try to recycle as much component as possible, take those recyclables out. So that's what you should do with the dry waste. And for the wet waste, it should go to a composting plant or an anaerobic digestion plant. Both dry waste recycling facility as well as wet waste facility will have certain residuals. They will have certain residuals. So those residuals you can take it to a sanitary landfill. But otherwise, you should not take it to sanitary landfill or dump site at the first step. So if you do that, you are basically losing all the values, because once it gets mixed up with all those garbage, you cannot make a good compost. You cannot do waste to energy with that. Now, what stage of location it is done, and what is the ideal stage for diversion for each of the methods? I think I just answered that. So in terms of you need to collect the waste from residences, and then you have to bring that waste to a material recycling facility where you do the recycling part. Then from rejects from material recycling facility needs to go to the dump site or sanitary landfill. No dump site, it is sanitary landfill as per the rule. And then for your composting or anaerobic digestion, again the rejects from those plant will needs to go to the sanitary landfill. Now, Parag Gupta, sir, I see that in current situation, our nation, the pandemic situation arises and huge amount of medical waste generated. How can we resolve the medical waste disposal so we prevent the explode COVID-19 patient, because it is the first preference to do in such field? How can we save the earth from various type of waste which is buried in the earth surface? How can we increase our agricultural yield? How to clean our city? Please mention all such issues arising in your upcoming session. Okay, so there are many of these things you will get answer in the as part of the course. You have basically asked so many questions within one question, so it's kind of a huge, like a lot of detail in terms of different scenarios. So what I would suggest is you wait until we cover many of these theory part, and where you will get a lot of answers to some of these questions that you have raised. But some of the specific, like pandemic situation, medical waste, if you, we will not be talking about biomedical waste in this particular course, because biomedical waste is actually altogether separate. Biomedical waste comes under a different rule. So Central Pollution Control Board has biomedical waste management rules, which is through Ministry of Environment, Ministry of like Health and all that too. And then from that biomedical waste from Central Pollution Control Board to the State Pollution Control Board, so they manage it. There are certain centralized facility in every state where the biomedical waste has to be sent and to be treated. So they are supposed to pick it up from each of the hospitals within 48 hours of time when this waste is generated. So, and it needs to be, as I said earlier, it will be incinerated, autoclaved, and all that based on what kind of waste is there. So overall, there is a system in place. The problem is, because of this pandemic, there is a huge load of biomedical waste, and the system is not designed to kind of deal with that huge load in a short period of time. So that is creating a bit of problem. But that's where we need to work on. Maybe one solution could be that we increase the number of these biomedical waste facilities. But then we have to look at the long-term sustainability of that facility as well. So these facilities require a certain amount of garbage, biomedical waste to come into it. Then only they will be able to survive. If it's a very low volume, then it may not be able to survive. So those things we need to look at. In terms of waste, we talked about that. Agricultural yield and all, I'm not an agricultural kind of scientist. I don't know about that, how to increase our agricultural yield. How to clean our city? Again, if we do the waste management properly, if we do our water management properly, if we do all the air pollution control things properly, the city will be clean. So if each one of us has to contribute towards that. Afia Alis, in Panchayat or village areas, how can we develop biogas plant both legally, economically, and mechanically? So yes, there is actually the rules, solid and liquid waste management for rural areas, which rules are out there, which is in Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation and all those. You will find that biogas plant is actually encouraged in rural areas. So biogas plant with, say, we used to do gobar gas earlier. So with cow dung or all those different animals that people may have, so those food, plus even the food waste, some food waste, agricultural waste, especially if it has too much of a lignin, then it becomes a problem. We have to do some pre-treatment, which we can talk about that towards the end. We'll talk about that in the video, but there are different pre-treatment techniques out there. But yes, it can be done. Most of the stuff is readily degradable, and then biogas plant is, how can we develop? Once you wait until that particular slide, particular set of lecture videos where we talk about this biogas anaerobic digestion system, you will see the details of how it needs to be done. And also, we have there are manuals out there, the CPHO manual, which talks about how to anaerobic digestion system needs to be developed. So there is a manual by the Government of India which has there too. So those we can use that. Solid liquid waste management manual also has anaerobic digestion biogas plant details are there. So Arpita says that we want to ask about unit 1 and unit 2. Now I don't know. You want to ask questions, but what kind of questions? Maybe you are putting it in the chat box. I will see that. Now, Pratibhan has current technology in waste management and scope of environmental engineers in India. Current technologies will cover in this course, so you will get all the details about the current technology. So I'll not spend too much time on that as of today. We can talk about that towards the end of the course in the third live session if you didn't get answer while going over the course. Now, in terms of the scope of environmental engineer, as you know, environmental engineering field is upcoming field, and those of you who are undergraduate students, you may have come to know that going to write GATE exam in this 2021, you may have seen in the GATE announcement that there is a new paper now on environmental science and engineering. So there will be a separate exam on environmental science and engineering from this year in GATE. So of course there is a scope. So of course, and that probably that exam will be required, or will be taken as the exam for PSUs too, who are going to hire an environmental field. So this is an upcoming area. A lot of work needs to be done. We know that we have environmental issues in India, globally, water, wastewater, solid waste, air pollution. All these issues need attention, need solutions. Engineers are there for providing solutions. So of course the scope is there, and it will only get more and more, at least in coming decade or so, because we have to do a lot of cleanup. We have really made a lot of mess out there, so that needs to be cleaned up. Now, Rajkamal Gupta has a question: how can we manage agricultural waste? Again, agricultural waste, ideally, what we have been doing is we are producing, ideally, I would say traditionally, we have been making compost out of that, and that compost is used in agricultural field itself. Now, compost, of course, is good, but at the same time, say if you don't have market for compost, and if you want to make value-added products, so there are other technologies out there which you can use as well. People use different types like pyrolysis, gasification, and make different types of fuel, different types of value-added products. So those things can be done as well, and it should be done. So in terms of, and there are some newer technologies in terms of hydrothermal carbonization, where in our lab itself, we have taken some yard waste, which is similar to agricultural waste. We have also taken food waste, and we have produced carbon material, which could be used as an adsorbent, which could be used as a fuel. And we have made a small pellets out of that, which can be used as a fuel, which is partially replacing coal in the power plant. So this, then we have also developed some carbon material, which can be used as a charger for, like, when the batteries of cell phone. So when you look at this cell phone, your batteries of cell phone, in this particular cell phone, there is a battery which we charge. And this charger, the battery has carbon material. So that carbon material which goes into this battery can be generated from food waste. can be generated from agricultural waste. That's so cool, isn't it? So from that would be like our Make in India or like Atmanirbhar Bharat and all that. So we can do those kind of stuff. It's only that those technologies are there in the lab scale. We have to take it to the big industrial scale, and that's where we need help. Like our the academic institutes like us needs help from the industry and other places where to take this technology to that level. Because there is certain things we can do in the lab, but after a certain point, we need the industry to come forward and support us to take it to that level. So are there treated separately? Okay, that was a agricultural waste. And now Charita has a question: in a country like India, with a population of 1.3 billion, there is significant amount of sanitary waste going into the waste disposal. Are there ways to treat it separately, which are more efficient and cause less damage to the environment, rather than being disposed in a dump site, packed into the packaging provided by the company? So there are ways to treat it separately. Even there are some there are some technologies out there which to take this sanitary waste and try to because sanitary waste, if you look at it, it's mostly paper and some tissues and all that. So and some of course it may have say body fluid and blood and all that. So it needs to be treated. So there is a people are thinking of there is a in fact it kind of becomes more of an kind of biomedical kind of waste. So it's again it can go to an incineration plant. It can be incinerated where most of the material has a good calorific value there, so it could be used as an incineration. So it should not actually it should be collected separately, but in many places it's not. In fact, globally also I don't know many places where they are doing a separate collection of sanitary waste, but mostly it is going with MSW and or it is going to a waste to energy plant. Waste to energy plant it can go. It's only the problem really is that it's see there is a supply of these materials, supply of this sanitary waste. If you look at from a logistic point of view, it's not a continuous supply from say one particular house or one particular locality. It will be intermittent supply and then collection of that, how it has to be collected. So there could be some drop-off locations can be made where people can go and drop it off in certain areas in particular locality, and then things can be done. Things can be taken up from there. So yeah, there are some companies who are trying to do some stuff in this area. I will try to put that to some of those information in the discussion forum so that we can help you further. Sarani has a question on home waste management. I think he's talking about waste which is generated at a household level and how we can manage it within the house. So for food waste and other stuff, you can do composting in your house. You can set up a composter and you make compost, use it for your own garden. For recyclables, you give it to those kawaliwalas and other stuff, and they will recycle it for you. So that's again, you have to keep it separate. Wet waste and dry waste has to be separate. Now, Dr. Vivek has a question on waste landfill remediation. Like how we can go for remediation of a landfill. That's a very good question. Again, with biomining and all that, people are talking about waste to landfill remediation. Where you are essentially, what I understand is you're talking about the legacy site, those dump sites, which needs to be kind of cleaned up, and those areas could potentially be reclaimed. So for that, again, no shortcut to success. You have to go and you have to do a detailed sampling of what is there in that waste to in the dump site, what is remaining, what kind of potential it has, whether there is enough, whether it's already degraded or there is enough gas production is still left, or if what kind of heavy metals and other things are there in that particular dump site or where the waste that you want to reclaim. So you have to have a detailed characterization, and based on the detailed characterization, you will come up with a plan of separating the waste into different fractions and then use different fractions for different applications. So for example, if you have plastics and other stuff that will go to a cement plant, that will go to a waste to energy plant. If you have a soil-like material which is relatively clean, doesn't have any heavy metals and other contaminants, can be used for wherever the soil is used. So if it's a clean material, you can use it for that. And but you have to make sure it is clean. So you do that environmental risk assessment and all that, along with doing sampling, looking at what is what is the risk from those contaminants, at what level they are present, and then you come up with those remediation plan. Abdul Azad has questioned that is it possible to minimize waste limit to 1 or 2% in smart cities? See, theoretically it is possible, but based on present days technology which is out there in India, what is practiced in India, as of today, probably not possible. But yes, 10 years, 15 years down the line, it can be done. We can bring it down to 1 or 2%. Like you have seen the example of Western European countries. They have brought it down to around 2% or 1%. So we can do it too. But number one thing that we have to do is do the source segregation. Source segregation, source segregation. If you can do the source segregation, keep the wet and dry waste separate, then you can really apply all those different technologies. Then probably you will start with maybe around 8 to 10% going to the landfill, and rest can be recovered. Now, Iman Basu, he's talking brief information about integrating waste management for smart city. That's the whole course is all about that. And in fact, if you're taking the first week lecture, first week in the initial period of the initial videos of the second week, you may have seen we talked about the big picture of what is there in the integrated waste management. So if you didn't get a chance, I would say go and watch those videos again. But still, if you have any questions, come back and we'll be able to answer. Now, Pudari Kaksha is saying that certain future classes, can we expect topics like usage of waste in construction and in further weeks? Yes, you will see that. You will see when we talk about waste resource recovery and other stuff, you will see some questions on where people are using it for like waste being used in construction sector and other applications. So those were the questions which was there in the Google forum, the Google form that we have posted. That was right before this live session is started. I have captured all those questions in this particular discussion so far. So now what I will do is I will try to go into, oh, I see there's some more questions here as well. Okay, maybe this is coming on here too. Let me see, maybe now. Okay, so I'll just go very quickly to this question as well. That Vilas Nayak, sorry, is there any difference of waste management and wastewater engineering? Of course. Waste management, we are working with solid waste. Essentially, we are working with solid waste. Wastewater engineering is whatever you flush down the toilet. And waste is whatever you are throwing away in the dustbin. So there is a big difference. And there is a separate wastewater engineering course. And I'm not sure whether that course is running this semester or not, but there is a separate wastewater course is there, which is offered from IIT Kharagpur itself. Now, please explain about vermicompost and pipe composting. Again, I would say, Mr. Paul, Dr. Paul, please wait until the aerobic composting chapter. We have not gone to that chapter yet, I think. So please wait until that. There we have discussion on vermicompost and also where you got the pipe compost, where you can set up a static pile, and then you have the aeration using different sets of pipes and all. So that's vermicompost is where essentially you are it requires a bigger area, and on the bigger area you spread around your waste, and then you use cow dung and other cultures and let the bacteria grow on that area. But and the aeration is mostly using normal like air circulation, you like natural air circulation. You try to do that. But in pipe, basically it's an aeration system. You are forcing air through it, and as you force through air through it, you're making sure that the waste gets enough air for having having aerobic decomposition of the garbage. So that's what, but you will see more detail as well. Now, Amal Oparam, he says, I can't understand TCLP. TCLP is the toxicity characteristic leaching procedure. So your question is a bit like what you don't understand in TCLP. Like you don't understand how it is done. You don't understand why it is done. You don't. So if you can a bit, I would say that if you can put that a bit in more detail, like your question on the chat box, we'll be happy to answer that. Or you can put it in the discussion forum as well. But present, it doesn't really make. I don't understand. I don't understand your question. That what you don't understand regarding TCLP. I would encourage you to go back and look at that video, see that video again and again. That's the beauty of this online course. You can replay those videos, and where I have explained this TCLP in great detail. Here, briefly, I will tell you TCLP, toxicity characteristic leaching procedure, is a leaching test which is designed to simulate worst case leaching scenario in a municipal solid waste landfill. And that it's essentially what we are trying to do is say, if I have a waste, I'm trying to find out whether it is safe for me to dispose that waste in a municipal solid waste landfill or not. Since we are talking about disposing in municipal solid waste landfill, that's the reason I have that acetic acid sodium hydroxide solution, because municipal solid waste, you will have acetic acid. So that's because food waste, when it degrades, it will produce finally acetic acid. So acetic acid sodium hydroxide buffered solution, 4.93 pH. So we are trying to simulate landfill conditions and try to see what will leach out, because we are interested in what will go into the liquid phase. So that's the whole purpose of doing the TCLP test. Now, if you can ask me specifically what you don't understand there, I'll be more than happy to answer. So please put that in the chat box, or you can also do that in the discussion forum. Now, Libya is asking, if organic waste contains lignin, then it will be hard to degrade. From my personal experience, I have seen that non-veg takes longer time to degrade than veg. What's the reason? What is the steps to be taken? Lignin, as you know, since you yourself mentioned, lignan's property is hard to degrade. Anything containing high amount of lignin does not degrade easily. That's the property of lignin. That's the property of that particular chemical. So what you need to do is you need to break that. You need to make the lignin easy to be accessible to those microorganisms. Because whether you talk about aerobic composting or whether you talk about anaerobic digestion, it is the microbes who is doing the job for you and me. So in that case, we have to make this, we have to break this board like a lignin wall. The lignin has this, if you look at the structure of lignin, we have to break that wall so that the microbes can get in and start eating those organic material. So for that, you have to do certain pre-treatment. And again, at the very end of this course, when I will be talking about different research things which you can pursue, we'll talk about pre-treatment of several lignocellulosic waste material for better anaerobic digestion. So you can find that if you go on Google Scholar, if you go look at my my papers in recent times. I had a PhD student, Dr. She just finished a few months back, Dr. Sagarika Panigrahi. So if you look at Dr. Panigrahi's paper, we have talked about that in great detail. So there are microwave treatment, there is a hot water bath, there is some thermal treatment, and enzymatic treatment. So all those treatments are out there which you can use, and you can find those details in the, as part of that particular student's thesis. Now, Vijay Kumar doesn't have. So our campus has a large amount of dry leaves. What is the best way to treat it? You can do compost out of that. So that's what people do. You can do a compost. If you can set up a hydrothermal carbonization, which we have a small system in place in our lab. It's not in the campus level. But in that lab, we have taken these dry leaves and make those carbon-rich carbon material, which is can be used for different value-added products. So you can do that as well. But that will require higher budget. You can set up a pilot plant. We'll be happy to help you with this. You have to get the budget, of course. I can help you with the technical part of it. In terms of otherwise, you just set up a compost with food waste and use this dry leaves as a bulking agent, and that it should work for you. Now, what is the procedure way to work in the waste management sector and the civil engineer? What government agencies, companies are associated? So if you look at waste management, like of course the government agencies like Pollution Control Board, the State Pollution Control Board, Central Pollution Control Board, Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change, your Ministry of Urban Development, Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation. So these are all different ministries who are working on that. And there are a lot of PSUs. Every PSUs have to have environmental engineer, has to have waste management people. And then there are many private sector companies which are out there, which is working on waste management sector. So there are quite a few waste management players out there which hires in students in waste management. In fact, we get sometimes email asking that, do you know any good waste management engineer who we want to hire for this service purposes? Could you give brief description about the latest free software available for waste management? We will talk about that when we go to the specific topics. So there are, for different topics, different softwares are out there. So we'll talk about that as we go to specific topics, and we'll especially landfills and other stuff. We'll talk about those in more detail at that time. Now, K. Prashantini, MSW collections and refusing to collect the disposable mask. How to dispose? Acha, they are refusing to. So disposable mask. Again, the city, you need to, if you can collect all those disposable masks and you store it at your home, and then when you have enough quantity, you go to the local hospital, local healthcare center, and you can dispose it over there. And since you're living in that area, you are as per rule actually, when MOUD, the Ministry of Urban Development, they have to do some sort of drive and collect this waste from time to time. But for now, what I would suggest is you can look at in terms of taking this waste and putting it either in the waste the collection center at a hospital or nursing home or something nearby. So there, because the Ministry of this, what I would say that the government is paying for it. So it's not that you are paying taxes, or your parents are paying taxes. So you are entitled to get those kind of service. Now, in terms of this question from Jaya Dubey, Delhi, a very good afternoon to everyone. So could you please suggest what kind of composting method we can practice with planting the stubbles of rice crop, and also can we reduce the size of the hand hard texture as stubble, which shredder equipment you will suggest for shredding the stubble? Again, for shredder equipment, for shredding the stubble and all that, I don't have answer, because see, I'm not a like agricultural engineer and like a farm machinery engineer and all that. But yes, there are companies. I can give you the details of the company who can give you answers on those and stuff. If you want to use composting for this rice crop, practice for rice crop, again, what kind of composting? It depends on what kind of land you have available, what kind of time you have available. If you have enough land and if you have enough time, you can go for windrow compost, and you make the windrow, and it will take 21 days or something like that to get your first round of kind of reactions complete, and then you put in another curing for another 5-6 weeks, and then finally get compost in something around 10 weeks time. You get a compost coming out of that. So that's but if you don't have land, like if you're in Delhi or in nearby Delhi, finding land is very difficult. So you have to go vertical. So in the case of vertical, you can have an agitated system. You can have different like a bunker system. So there are a variety of systems out there. So depending on what you need, what is your constraint, you can come up with that. And for stubbles of rice crop, you have to look at the carbon nitrogen ratio. What is the carbon nitrogen ratio for this stubble rice crop? If it's a carbon nitrogen ratio is not in the range of 25 to 30, then you have to mix this with other waste, so that you can bring the carbon nitrogen ratio in the ratio of 25-30. Okay, so I think on the Google form we are good. Now I will go to the chat session where maybe have answered some questions already. So Dr. Paul, this idea about the vermicomposting, we already talked about that. Now Praharsh Agarwal, he's I'm very happy. I have redesigned the waste management of IIT Roorkee. I have a dream of working. Okay, thank you, Praharsh. If you are looking for doing a master's or PhD, you can apply at IIT Kharagpur. We'll be happy to have you here if you get selected. You can always contact us for that. But yes, thank you for your nice feedback. Now, Indra Mishra, what is the procedure way to work in the waste management sector as a civil engineer? Okay, we already talked about that. Sayyed Aslam Nakwi, okay, the course is very good and helping to learn, that's fine. Aishwarya Dayanidhi, so you have mentioned about software available for free. Please suggest new software for our final year project. Now, again, it depends on what you want to do. So if you want to do anything related to the landfill, there are two major things you do about landfill: leachate management system and the gas collection system. For leachate management system, you need health model. For the gas collection system, you need Lignin. And both of them you can download freely available versions are there out there. Now, if you want to do a waste like a collection network, you have to have some logistics and all those softwares out there, which I don't think will be available for free. But then if you want to do a overall life cycle assessment, then there are softwares like OpenLCA is there. SEMA Pro student version is also there, which you can use a little while. So those things you can do from there. Nikhil Arya says, what are the home techniques to dispose of a small quantity of waste of a corner outside the house? So you don't put anything outside your house. If it's a public property, you're not supposed to do anything outside your house. If it's your own property, you can, if you're within your own, say, if you have a bungalow or something and you have some space in the front yard or backyard, you can set up a small composter. You can do a small composter even on apartments in your balconies. So a small composter you can do for food waste. And without having, as Libya was also mentioning, that in that food waste, what you do, you should not put any meat, you should not put any bones and other stuff because they don't degrade very easily. So you do for the readily decomposable food waste, you just do that in that composter, and you can make compost and use it for your home garden. For non-compostable, recyclable material, that you have to tie up with some kabadiwalas and other stuff, and they are supposed to, they will take it from you. Nowadays, even there are things on online. There's some app which you can use to bring these people to you. So there is a Kabadi Connect. There are every big city has some sort of app. In smaller cities, we have those kabadiwalas going around in the asking things from us, and they ultimately get it recycled. Only thing what we should look at is try to formalize that informal sector a little bit. When I say formalize, I'm worried more about their own health and safety. When their health working conditions, their precautions they need to take, they don't take those precautions. So I'm worried about the health and safety of the workers, of this informal workers. So that's from that point of view, they need to have some sort of formal training and other stuff for them to get better output and also to have better life for them. Now, the check is there. Then Amritanjan Dasgupta, during this program at 12 weeks, will you tell us about the current status of various major waste energy plants that have come in India say in last 5 years? Mr. Dasgupta, we don't have that as part of the course right now, but we can put some information. I do have that information for what is the present status of waste to energy. Since, as you probably know, this course first started in 2017, I think. This is the fourth offering for 17, 18, 19, and 20, yes. And so during that, and the recording was mostly done in 2016, towards the end of 2016. So we don't we don't have that information as a video in the course right now, but we can think of either in the form of a course or in the form of a video, or maybe I'll put something on as a reading material where you will have those details. So I'll do that. If I forget, I'll just put a question on the discussion forum as well, although I'll ask my TA to remember this, and I'll make a note of that as well. And can you recommend some good books on agricultural waste? I have to look it up. See, I have to look it up to tell you a good book, but whether you go for agricultural waste, whether you go for municipal solid waste, it's the basic concepts are the same. So what I would say, you go for Subangulus, the book which is listed as one of the reading material for this course, which is the Integrated Solid Waste Management book by Subangulus. That book will be an ideal book to have if you really want to learn in detail about solid waste. And that book also has a lot of examples about agricultural waste management. Now, sir, in the videos, sorry. The videos you have mentioned lack of data. What needs to be done? We have to collect data. Because see, if you look at, for example, you are from Bangalore, okay, Sahid. So if you look at in Bangalore, and if you want to try to find out in last 10 years, so how the waste, what is the, how much waste Bangalore has really produced. Only data you will probably get is what is being dumped into the dump site or to the landfill, or maybe some other facilities where they're operating. But that may not be the total waste, because waste produced at home Not 100% is getting collected anywhere in India. It is some places it is close to 100%, but 100% is not there. So if you look at from a country point of view, we don't have data of how much waste we are really producing. And then at the same time, we also don't have data is what is there in the garbage. It is all, many of these are mostly guesstimates. It's not real comprehensive scientific study, what is known as the waste audit. So waste audit is not done properly. I have seen some DPRs as well made for some as part of the Swachh Bharat mission. And many of those DPRs also has, I would say, estimates. Some of those numbers are too good to be true. And I visited some of those cities where I was reviewing some DPR. I'll not tell you the name of the city, which I'm not supposed to reveal that. But when I visited those cities, I found that, and I visited those houses where people are supposed to, where the companies said that in the DPR that they have collected a garbage sample from that particular house. So when I visit that house, that family tells me that this is the first time they are hearing that there is something of this study is going on, and no one has ever come to collect the waste from their home. So, and then you have to look at what is how the waste is being collected at the home, and that is also not enough, because as the waste travels from the home to the primary collection, to the secondary collection, and finally to the dump site, the waste quality also changes, because India is not Europe or US. We don't have covered waste management collection system. So we will have the cows, you will have dogs and other animals eating a lot of food waste. You will have rag pickers taking away all those recyclables. So what you are getting into the dump site, what you are getting into the treatment system is also different than what is generated at home. So it requires a very comprehensive data collection, is spatial as well as temporal. When I say spatial, like along the waste management path, how the world is changing, and also temporal, like over time, over seasonal characterization. So all those data, without good data, as probably you are left in, I said that without good data, if you write prescription, that prescription is not, writing prescription means writing the solution for waste management. So that's not going to really work. So you have to start working on proper data. So that's where you need to have a good data collection. So we are kind of running out of time. So we'll take another couple of questions, and then whatever question is remaining, we will try to get back to you on the, you can put this question on the discussion forum. We'll try to do that over there. But at the same time, you can come back and put that question in the next live session too. As you know, this is only for 1 hour. So we have to kind of stop in a few minutes from now. So can we make leather from agricultural waste? There are people who have done that. There is like they are out there which do talk about leather. Now, what are the job perspective? We already talked about that. There is quite a this sector will require a lot of people in India as well as abroad. So you can, if you just do Google search, you will find a lot of jobs that's come up. Do every virus like in the face of medical waste? Same way, depends on the situation. What's happening in the current situation of COVID-19? Muhammad Ali, you will get your answer at the end of 4th week. We have already recorded a video on COVID-19 and waste, and so you will get that details in that particular video. So I'll say, please wait until that time, and we'll get you there. Gayatri Narayanan, such as potatoes and onions wrapped in plastic in grocery stores, clothes ordered online and individually wrapped in plastic covers. Yeah, so we have a lot of packaging material. That's correct. And most of those packaging materials have good calorific value. Most of those packaging material are also can be recycled. So that's where it needs to be managed. Sir, plastic is categorized under which category, organic or inorganic? So plastic is, if you think from that point of view, plastic is actually organic, isn't it? But plastic is non-biodegradable organic. So that's what you should put it. Plastic is a non-biodegradable organic. So that's what your plastic waste is. Good evening, Professor. Now is PFAS contamination awareness processing in India? How is PFAS overall? PFAS in India right now, it's not actually much. Since you put that, we are doing a review of PFAS situation in India as well as global aspect as well. So we will probably publish it in a few months from now. But in India, I don't think much work is going on. We would like to do some work on that area, but it's presently not much is going on. So let's see. Okay, so I think there is one more question, so we can take that and we can stop. So further weeks we can expect classes. In further weeks can we accept class usage of waste? Yes, I already told you. Yes, there will be questions on usage of waste in there. Thank you. And then I think that's pretty much it. So I think we have taken care of almost all the questions that we had on YouTube as well. So on the chat box. So again, thank you very much for taking the interest in this course and keeping me engaged for last 1 hour. And there were some good questions. I hope I was able to answer most of it. Some of the questions which could not be answered, you can again put it on the discussion forum, but you will get the answer as part of the course as the course progresses. Since we are only, I think this is the 3rd week right now, so you have another 9 weeks to go. So many of the questions which we answered very briefly, you will get the detailed response in the course itself. So thank you. Have a good day. Keep yourself safe and be positive, but be COVID negative. Okay. Thank you.